I hit recorded drop, you can't ignore it. I'm transforming now these cars and planes, I'm always boarding. Just out touring down in Charlotte like I play for Hornets.
Evening, fellas, evening, ladies. How you doing? You know what time it is. You are watching the TFG Sports Show. I am your host, the sports guy, Kendrick. You're watching the best 30-minute sports talk show on social media. Happy Tuesday evening to each one of you all. I hope you all are having a great start to your week. I know you are having a hot start to your week because let's just go and be honest. This heat has gotten really disrespectful. It's really hot. I hope you guys are taking care of yourselves and staying as cool as possible. And I know I never really complained much about being hot, but it is kind of a little bit disrespectful now. But again, I'd rather take this over the cold weather any day of the week. But that's just me. I know I might be crazy, but I can deal with the heat more so than I can deal with the cold. So again, you're watching the TFG Sports Show. I'm your host, the sports guy Kendrick. Let's go ahead. We're going to jump into this thing. But before we get to our quick hits, I need you guys to come in real quick. Come on in, hit that like, hit that share button. And if you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe to the TFG Sports Media YouTube channel and make sure that you like the TFG Sports Media page on Facebook as well. And last but certainly not least, jump in these comments. Jump in these comments as soon as you get in here so we can talk a little bit, converse a little bit about what's going on in the sports world. And we got a lot. There's always something going on in the sports. But I got my Kendrick's quick hits real quick before we get to the meat and potatoes. Now, my quick hit number one: Phoenix Suns end up matching the Indiana Pacers offer, and the Suns keep center DeAndre Ayton. They signed him to a 4-year, $133 million deal. Now, Ayton was the number one draft pick of the Phoenix Suns in 2018 out of the University of Arizona. He averaged 17.2 points, 10.2 rebounds, and he shot 63.4% from the field this past season. He was one of their main guys, but there was a lot of speculation that he was going to be offered in a trade package with the Brooklyn Nets in trying to get Kevin Durant. So anyway, that's not going to happen now. Ayton is staying in the desert of the sun with the Phoenix Suns. Now, Kendrick's quick hit number two: Tiger Woods. He misses the cut at the Open, which is called the Open now. It's always been called the British Open, but he missed the cut on, I believe, Friday. He shot an opening round on 78, and then he was a 3 over 75 on Friday. And he did not finish the British Open. Disappointed because this may have been the last time we have seen Tiger at the Open, and this is his favorite course, according to him. Now, he is a three-time winner of the Open, and he is a 15-time champion. For as majors concerned, he's still trailing. He's 3 back of Jack Nicklaus. I think at this point, I don't see Tiger catching Jack because I just think his injuries and in that car accident, I think is the last of it. I think he'll still play a little bit, but as far as the dominant Tiger we've come to know, I think those days are long gone. Now, Kendrick quick hits number 3. The Houston Texans settled with 30 women who were prepared to make claims against them regarding their role in the Watson sexual misconduct allegations. Now, the terms of those settlements are confidential, said the women's attorney, Tony Busby, who's representing all the other women. And now there's still 4 women out there that hasn't settled, that Deshaun Watson is still having to deal with now that he is with the Cleveland Browns. And he's still waiting on his suspension from the judge. The judge just handling this. I believe, I can't remember her last name, but he's still waiting on that suspension. There have been reports that they were looking at maybe a year suspension for Deshaun Watson. Now they're saying that it may be only 6 to 8 games. So we will keep you locked in on that. Now, my quick hit Number 4, last but not least, I got to give a shout out. I got to thank. I think it was either Shante or Jaquitia. Thank you. I can't remember who posted this, but I got to give a shout out to Nemo's Training Gym in Grand Prairie, Texas. They had 7 kids medal at the USA Junior Olympic Boxing Tournament. 5 of those kids won gold, 2 won bronze, and Messiah Nemo earned his second straight gold medal, and he will be a sophomore heading to South Grand Prairie High School. So again, want to give a shout out to Nemo's Training Gym in Grand Prairie, Texas, where 7 kids medaled at the USA Junior Olympic Boxing Tournament. 5 gold, 2 bronze, and special shout out to Messiah Nemo for earning his second straight gold medal. And good luck to those young boxing up and comers. So we wish them luck. Now let's get down to our meat and potatoes. First topic, Mr. Producer. We talk about the Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson and his Twitter feud he had with former Raven Bernard Pollard. Now, this started after ESPN released its list of top 10 quarterbacks, and it just so happens Lamar Jackson was not in their top 10. Well, Bernard Pollard went on his Twitter and basically said, I think Jackson's a great talent, but I can see why he's not a top 10 quarterback. But he's a top 10 talent. Bernard Pollard was saying this on his Twitter feed. And he also says no wide receiver would ever want to play with LJ, meaning Lamar Jackson, because he can't make all the throws. Well, Lamar Jackson didn't get. He's like, hold on, pump your brakes, player. First of all, Jackson called Pollard dumb ASF, and the F rhymes with duck. So you know what the other says. And he said, Jackson said, as he responded to Pollard, he had to Google who Pollard was. Now, if you don't know, Bernard Pollard was a safety on the Super Bowl team that he played with, that they beat San Francisco. But he was the safety on that team with Ray Lewis and Ed Reed. And again, Jackson said he had never heard of him. And he said the only reason that Pollard had won the Super Bowl was because of Ray Lewis and Ed Reed. They go back and forth. Bernard Pollard said, "You just gotta, you can call me anything you want, but call me champ." Uh, Lamar Jackson came back with told him to stick to NASCAR racing. And it's just, at this point, I think it's a these athletes and the social media going back and forth. It's just funny. I think a lot of times, I think these a lot of these new athletes they just don't have thick skin. Because Pollard, I don't think he was meaning that and trying to slight Lamar Jackson. No, in no way. He just was saying he said he's a top 10 talent. But he said he just think that Lamar can't make some of the throws. And he also said, Pollard said, I want Lamar to get his money. If you don't know Lamar Jackson, he hasn't signed a new deal. He's his own agent. So he's gonna see. We're gonna see how that work out. So yeah, Bernard Pollard, Lamar Jackson. Let's go. I mean, honestly, he's a top quarterback. I don't know if top 10, but he's a former MVP. He's brought Baltimore back, but I mean, there is some questions about his throwing ability. I mean, can he make all the throws? I think he's a heck of a quarterback. I think he's a heck of a talent. But I think Bernard Pollard made a great point. He wasn't dissing him as a quarterback overall. He just was saying that I think maybe he doesn't have the accuracy that he wants. And then, I mean, and I have noticed there hasn't been any wide receivers that's really jumped up and want to go to Baltimore. Let's be honest. I mean, matter of fact, they traded away one of the young wide receivers, Hollywood Brown. But it just hasn't been. But it just hasn't been. They had receivers hadn't gone there. Charles Moore, thanks for dropping in, brother. Top 10. He needs a wide receiver. And I was just mentioning that. I was like, I don't think he's really had a marquee receiver since he's been there. And a flavor of the month, Baltimore has been a run first offense. I mean, I think a couple of years ago they led the league in rushing. So you play to your quarterback strength. That's what I always say. As an offensive coordinator, and quarterbacks coach, you're a quarterback. So you put in a game plan that maximizes his best ability. And Lamar Jackson is a playmaker. I'll say that. But again, I'm not saying I don't think Bernard Pollard was throwing any shade at him. I just think he was saying, I think he's a great talent. I don't know top 10, but I think the only thing that may be holding him back is his accuracy. And that could be it. I don't Charles must say I don't blame Lamar. It's just the way they run their offense. Exactly. That's what I was saying. They play to his strength. And Lamar Jackson has ran for almost 4,000 yards. I mean, he's a great runner. I mean, he can he's got that type of ability. The only thing about that, eventually you're gonna have to figure out how to move the football, throw the football down the field. And that's on, you got to get some receivers in there. You gotta make sure your offensive line is solid, because you don't want Lamar Jackson, because once he got beat up, because he took a couple of nicks this past season. He missed a couple of games. He was nicked up a little bit. So you really want to kind of keep him out of harm's way. You don't really want him running that much if he doesn't have to. You still want to have a good balance and take advantage of what he does well, which is run the football. But Lamar can throw the football, like Charles said. Just get him some receivers, and we'll go from there. So I say Lamar Jackson, Bernard Pollard, man, y'all cut it out. Lamar Jackson, you know what I have to say though, your comebacks were funny. Lamar, you did cut the old school deep. I ain't gonna lie, it was funny. Charles says slight shade. I don't blame LeVar for clapping back. Plus, his clapback was hilarious. I was just saying that. I said I can't front, because I was like, man, Lamar really his clapbacks was on. his clapbacks was on and popping. Bernard. But that's what these young cats do, man. They know how to do those clapbacks on social media. So again, rooting for Lamar Jackson. I'm only rooting for him when he don't play the Packers. Outside of that, he can, he do his thing. But when he play the Packers, I can't root for him. So anyway, all right, y'all stay off that Twitter feed. All this beefing, brothers. Can we all just get along, in the words of Rodney King? So anyway, Mr. Producer Tyler, let's go to the next hot topic. We're talking track and field world championship results. We're gonna talk about that. And speaking of which, track and field, the marquee race tonight on the World Championships is the 400-meter finals for the men. That is the marquee race that will happen tonight. I want to say around 8:30. And I think if I didn't mention at the top, those that like to watch the All-Star game, Major League Baseball All-Star game, will be getting going here in about 18 minutes. So uh if you want to watch that. I'm not. Well, let's talk about the track and field championships. This is the first time the World Track and Field Championships has been held in the United States. It's in Eugene, Oregon. Let's talk about this men 100 meters. USA swept gold, silver, bronze. Fred Curley, straight out of Taylor, Texas. I did not know he was from Taylor, Texas. Took the gold in the men's 100 meters. We ran a 9.86. Marvin Bracey took the silver at 9.88. And the favorite, a lot of people had this guy's a favorite, Trayvon Bromell took third with 9.876. They had to break it down because the distance between Bromell and Bracey was that tight where they had to break it down into a couple of more decimal points. This is the third time in World Championship history a country has swept the men's 100 meters. Would like to talk about Fred Curley just a little bit. I don't know if you guys know his back. He basically was a 400-meter guy, and he dropped down a couple of years ago, and he said he's going to run the 100 and 200, and that's really not been done a lot. I mean, we saw Michael Johnson straight out of Dallas, Texas, out of Dallas Skyline, when we won the gold in '96 Atlanta Olympics. He would run the 200 and the 400, but he never dropped down and ran the 100. Curly dropped down and ran 100, and he's been a beast since he's done that. And he's also running the 200, but that'll take place. I think the semis are going on, and that'll take place tomorrow night too. But anyway, the U.S. men swept the 100-meter, the marquee race. Again, Fred Curley took the gold, Marvin Bracey took the silver, and Trayvon Bromell took the bronze. Now let's talk about probably the most decorated American women's track athlete ever. This was her last world championship track and field race. Allison Felix, she wins the bronze in the 4x400 mixed relay. This made her 19th medal at the World Championships at all time. She also has 11 medals from the Olympics she's participated in. So she has a total of 30 medals as a professional track athlete. She's been in the sport 20 years. She's won 7 Olympic golds, 3 Olympic silvers, 1 bronze. At the World Championships, she's won 13 golds, 3 silvers, 3 bronze. She ran one of her fastest times is she ran in the 400s is 47.72, and she ran that as the second leg on the women's 4x400 meter relay team at the 2015 Beijing Olympics World Championships. I'm sorry, and that is the fastest split ever by an American woman and third fastest split ever by a female athlete. So again, the legend Allison Felix. You know, what can you say about this young sister? She's not that. I mean, in track years, she's old. She's 36, but I mean, she's still young. I mean, she's champion for women's getting paid more. Nike actually got Nike actually did not continue their contract with her when she became pregnant. That really fueled a fire up underneath her. She started her own apparel line, and she has championed for women track athletes to be paid equal to their male counterparts. Again, Allison Felix, what can you say? She's the most decorated American woman track and field athlete, I think, bar none. I mean, you can Jackie Joyner Kersey may be the only one that we can say those two set the bar. You also had obviously Florence Griffin Joyner. Uh, we had another sprinter from back in the 80s. Her name slips my mind. Evelyn Ashford. Um, uh, Marion Jones could have been in there. Obviously, she had her situation that she got stripped. But when you think about the women's track and field, American women of all time, I mean, it's Allison Felix. She's the gold bearer now. She's the standard. And this was her last World Track and Field Championship race. She still has another race to go in California, but this was her last one. And I just want to say salute to the Queen, Allison Felix. We salute you. And it has been a joy and a pleasure to watch you run. Now let's continue to the women's 100-meter finals. Another sweep, but not for the USA. The Jamaican women swept the women's 100-meter finals. Shelly Ann Fraser Price took the gold at 10.67. She broke the 23-year-old record of the World Championships. That's fastest time. She broke, I forgot whose record she broke, but that 10.67 is now the new World Championship record in the women's 100 meters. Number 2, Shericka Jackson took the bronze. Sorry, she took the silver at 10.73. And Elaine Thompson Hurrah, she took the bronze at 10.81, and she was the Olympic gold medal champion in the 100 meters, Elaine Thompson Hurrah, but she took third and took the bronze. Now, again, this was a clean sweep for the Jamaican women. This is Fraser Price. This is her 5th 100-meter world title. And by the way, Fraser Price is 35 years old. 35, and she is running a 10.67 in a 100-meter. Tell me, man. Tell me that she's a marquee athlete. And I know a name that you probably was thinking you were gonna be here. No, Sha'Carri Richardson. Nowhere to be found at the World Championship. She did not qualify in the women's 100-meter nor the 200-meter at the qualifying meet a couple of weeks ago. So again, the Jamaican women took over Eugene, Oregon. They swept the 100-meter finals. Shelly Ann Fraser Price took the gold. Uh, uh, Shericka Jackson took the silver, and Elaine Thompson Hurrah took the Browns. Now, the 2 American sprinters that was in this race, Aaliyah Hobbs took 6th at 10.92, and Melissa Jefferson came in 8th place at 11 flat. So that is the World Championship track and field. It's still going on again. It's not over till the 24th, I believe. You still got the men's and women's 200-meter finals that have to be ran. Again, you got the men's 400-meter finals that will be taking place tonight. So it's still some more track and field to go, and you still got some of the relays. So we still got some more to go. So, Mr. Producer, let's move on to our next topic. Chiefs Patrick Mahomes, quarterback sneaks. That should be a B. He quarterback sneaks the NFL. And the reason why I say quarterback sneaks the NFL, I don't know if you guys notice. You see beer and liquor commercials all the time during sporting events, right? But have you noticed that you never see current athletes ever in those commercials? Well, I guess that's the reason why. Because the NFL has a rule in place that keeps active players from endorsing beer or liquor. Well, Patrick Mahomes and Coors Light came up with this great idea where they snuck this in over the goal line on the NFL. Patrick Mahomes was in a Coors Light commercial, but he never talked about Coors Light. They were actually selling a flashlight that looked like a Coors Light can. Brilliant idea, brilliant commercial. If you haven't seen it, you can probably go Google, go YouTube, Coors Light, Patrick Mahomes. It was a brilliant idea. As I watched the commercial, I chuckled because I'm like, okay, this is pretty interesting. I never saw any beer or anything, but the flashlight that he had looked like a beer can, of Coors Light can. So go figure. Patrick Mahomes, straight out of White House, Texas, straight out of Texas Tech. He figured out a way to get one over on the NFL. And by the way, those flashlights, if you're trying to find one, they sold out. Can't even find them now. So the commercial was a hit. Patrick Mahomes was a hit. Even 49ers tight end George Kittle, shout out to Patrick. Send him a little something on his Twitter saying, now you're giving me ideas. So George Kittle, tight end for the 49ers, might be trying to see if he can it won't be a quarterback sneak. It'll be a tight end crossing route. See if he can run a crossing route on the NFL and get him one of those. So again, Mahomes is making moves. It's funny, he had signed that 10-year, $450 million contract back in July 2020, and he's been making moves ever since. I think he's had a Whataburger built in Kansas City. They had never had one before. He has some other things that he's doing. He has some camps, and he's invested in some other, I believe, some HBCUs. Yeah, matter of fact, he did. He was he flipped a coin for the HBCU All Star game. And the first one, he was the grand marshal and all that, but he also invested in that as well. So shout out to Texas-born Chief Patrick Mahomes, and his quarterback sneak on the NFL was pure brilliancy. Him and Coors Light, bang bang, not a gang. I know Charles Moore. I know. So yeah, your guy George Kittle's looking at a way to try to get him a commercial like Mahomes, where he can get over on the NFL by doing a beer ad or liquor ad without really selling beer or liquor. That's a great way to think about it. So, and go Packers, by the way. That just was random. I just wanted to say it since I was taking the drink. So anyway, shout out to you, Pat. Keep doing your thing. Oh, and congratulations. He and his wife are expecting their second child. So congratulations to you, Patrick Mahomes, and the new addition that's soon to come to your family. All right, Mr. Producer, let's move to our next topic. And I can't say enough. I can't say enough about the late great Muhammad Ali. As a young whippersnapper, as they used to say growing up, I've only had a few athletes that I call heroes. I've had athletes that I like, but there's only one that I can say that I always looked at as a hero of mine, and it's this one right here, Muhammad Ali. Where there's this social media buzz, hashtag going around, get the champion stamp. It's a campaign that's wanting to get Muhammad Ali on a postage stamp. It was started by a gentleman that is the president of the California, I believe, Athletic Association. He's a big Ali fan. He just happened to meet late Muhammad Ali's widow, Lonnie Ali, and they were talking, and he invited her to a house, and she came, and he was showing her his memorabilia, and he asked her, "Is the champ on us? Has he ever been on the stamp?" And she said, "No." And that got the balls rolling. Plus, not only is he over the California Athletic Commission, but he's also on the board of the Muhammad Ali Foundation, which is ran out of Louisville. So now we have this hashtag Get the Champ, a stamp campaign for getting who should be on the stamp, should have been on the stamp a long time ago, in my opinion, to get the boxing great Muhammad Ali on the stamp. Now, they say the process could take 3 years for this to happen. There's certain criteria that one has to meet to get on a stamp. Um, Muhammad Ali checks all those boxes. Now, in 1999, Ali was named Sportsman of the Century by Sports Illustrated. If you don't know much about his career, his record as a fighter, he was 56-5. Those 56 victories, 37 were by knockouts. He had some of the greatest boxing matches ever. This trilogy with Joe Frazier, his history. You can't. Those three fights were magic. His fights with George Foreman, the Thriller in Manila, and the Rumble in the Jungle were magic. When he shocked the world in 1964 by beating Sonny Liston, you remember that iconic picture with him standing over him, iconic picture. I mean, there's so many more. And in his later years, he lit the torch at the Atlanta Olympics in 1996. And, at that point, Parkinson's had taken over, so he was somewhat a shell of himself. So again, the Get the Champ a Stamp campaign for boxing great Muhammad Ali. I'm definitely hashtag that. Again, I think they're saying it's gonna take about 3 years to maybe here before that would happen. But one of his memorable quotes that really goes in with this hashtag Get the Champ a Stamp. This is a quote from the late great Muhammad Ali. One of his memorable quotes. He said, "I should be on a postage stamp because that's the only way I'll ever get licked. I'm beautiful. I'm fast. I'm so mean. I make medicine sick. I can't possibly be beat." Now, that quote right there, obviously he probably had a premonition that, hey, they're gonna put me on a stamp. They're gonna put me on the stamp. So I definitely hope the greatness, the champ, will get on there. Now, we just his death, it marked the anniversary of his death last month. He died on June 3rd in 2016 at the age of 74. If you don't know, he was born in Louisville, Kentucky on January 17th, 1942. Capricorn man, just like me. So salute to the champ. Hashtag Get the Champion Stamp campaign. Check it out. Look for it on social media. Hopefully, we can get that done sooner, more sooner than later. Wish he could be here to see that happen. So, again, moving to my final thoughts. Got some final thoughts, man. Matter of fact, I want to say thank you for Charles Moore for jumping in. Again, if you're watching this, if you watch this later, make sure you comment, make sure you like, make sure you share this to all your social media platforms. And if you haven't subscribed, subscribe to TFG Sports Media on YouTube and make sure you like the page on Facebook. Well, my final thoughts today. I've always been a sports fan. I've always loved sports. I've read sports books since I could start reading, watch sports pretty much all my life. And I was never really that enamored with being on in front of a camera to talk about sports, but now that's kind of my passion. And I'm gonna tell you, I've had some guys that I really uh I looked up to. Irv Cross, I remember seeing the first black man that I remember ever seeing on TV with the NFL Today, Irv Cross. How smooth he was, how he did his thing, sports. Uh, th- it's quite a few, but it's none like this man. I'm about to salute on his what would have been his uh what would have been his what 58th birthday, I believe so. Today would have been his 58th birthday, and that is the guy from ESPN, Stuart Scott. Stuart Scott today is his born day. He was born July 19th, 1965. Actually, he would have been 57 today. He was born in Chicago, Illinois. And I just want to say happy birthday to Stuart Scott because he gave a lot of men and women that look like me, like, man, he came with this swag. He just had this swag when he came on ESPN. You got to watch to see what he's gonna say. Some of his cool phrases was booyah, as cool as the other side of the pillow. Like gravy on a biscuit, it's all good. Just call him butter, cause he's on a roll. Those were just some of his many, many catchphrases that he used. Now, the late great Stuart Scott attended UNC. University of North Carolina. He was a member of the Omega Psi Phi fraternity. He started in sportscasting in 1987. His career took off when ESPN hired Scott in 1993 and worked there until his death in 2015. Stuart Scott did die from appendiceal cancer, January 4th, 2015. If you ever remember watching the ESPYs when he gave that heartfelt, he received the Jimmy V Award and his daughters came and he gave this stern speech that was just amazing. If you haven't watched that speech, go back and check it out. When Stuart Scott got the Jimmy V Award at the ESPYs a couple of months before he passed away. So I just want to salute one of the guys that I look up to and I still admire to this day that did this sports thing like I like to do it, with a little bit of swag, with a little bit of humor, and just make you feel like you're talking to your guy or your uncle or your cousin. That's your uncle or cousin on in front of the camera. So happy eternal born day to you, Stuart Scott. Keep resting on the other side of the pillow, as cool as you want to be. So again, I want to thank everybody for joining me. Charles, thank you for dropping in, commenting. Make sure you actually like, share, comment. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe to TFG Sports Media. And you can always catch me here, right here, 6:30 p.m. every Tuesday. And I'm going to say, with my green cup, go Pack. It's been real. Again, thanks for joining me. This has been your sports guy, Kendrick. I'm out. I'll see you next Tuesday. Peace.
That money clip us now, the new now looks like. Whoa, upgrade her diamonds, now her girlfriends are like. Whoa. I hit record a drop, you can't ignore it. I'm transforming now these cars and